new borrowings, there's a question mark there. The president also did mention 206.18 billion now from privatization proceeds. I would like to have more clarity on that, and I hope that, of course, the National Assembly, as they undertake the debate on this 2023 appropriation bill, will be asking those relevant questions. And 1.77 trillion drawdowns on bilateral and multilateral loans secured for specific development projects and programs. The president also did mention that the Finance Bill 2022 would accompany this budget. You know, at least in the last 3 years, we need also to give kudos to the administration that every year's budget has been accompanied by a finance bill, which eventually will be a finance act if the president signs it. So I hope that you've gotten an idea of those numbers as read out by Mr. President last Friday. I'll be giving you more details on that, and we'll definitely be analyzing, you know, perhaps word to word of what Mr. President has said, as he just has a few more months to go before this administration, the next administration comes in. But I must say that for the next administration and for the next leader, or for the next CEO of Nigeria Enterprises, or is it Nigeria Enterprises or Nigeria PLC? Perhaps it's still Nigeria Enterprises, because not majority of the people of Nigeria are really involved. They cannot exactly say that majority of what the government does, and not just even about this government, that it really gets to the bottom of the pyramid. And that is why 2023 elections is very, very key. And whosoever will be the next CEO of Nigeria has to fold his sleeves up, or if it's Baba Iga like president is wearing there, has to be a very serious business. And I don't envy who the next leader will be, because there will be challenges, fiscal challenges to deal with, security challenges to deal with, among other issues. So that's it at this time. All right, let's quickly take the news at this time. Due to declining petroleum income in Nigeria, NNPC Limited has been obliged to defer payments to fuel importers for 3 months. This was disclosed in an interview by the NNPC Limited, Mele Kyari, on Monday. This comes as Nigeria intensifies its war against crude oil theft, which has crippled the country's capacity to produce. NNPC has withheld payments to the following trading corporations, according to Kyari Vital, Total, Sahara Group, and Oando. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo says it has become urgent for central banks around the world to adopt blockchain technology. Osinbajo made this submission in his keynote address at the 3rd edition of the Nigeria Digital Economy Summit in Abuja. He cautioned that if blockchain technology, which allows digital information and transactional records to be securely stored and transmitted, is not integrated into the system, it might upset central banking globally. The Securities and Exchange Commission announced that the updated memorandum of understanding it signed with its Ghanaian counterparts will boost the two organizations' collaboration and mutual assistance, as well as improve operational efficiency, transparency, depth, and global competitiveness. Speaking during the signing ceremony in Accra at the weekend, Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission, Lamido Yuguda, recalled that both countries had enjoyed a long period of progressive and mutually beneficial partnership, which resulted in the first MOU in 2003. Nigeria's export of urea has increased by more than 400% in the first half of this year when compared to the same period in 2021. According to the National Bureau of Statistics Foreign Trade statistics, urea jumped to 3rd place among Nigeria's top traded exports with 208.3 billion naira in the first quarter and 308.1 billion naira in the second quarter, totaling 516.5 billion naira. JP Morgan Chase chief executive on Monday warned that the United States is likely to tip into an economic recession in 6 to 9 months. Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Morgan Chase, said the recession may not be as severe as the 2008 global financial crisis, but that runaway inflation, large interest rate rises, Russia-Ukraine hostilities, and other things will create uncertainty in the future. Take a listen. Japan reopened its doors to tourists on Tuesday after being closed for about 2.5 years owing to travel restrictions imposed by the COVID-19 pandemic. Visa-free travel was reinstated for visitors from dozens of countries, bringing an end to some of the world's strictest border controls. Prime Minister Fumio Kishida is hoping the move will invigorate the economy and reap some benefits from the yen slide to a 24-year low.
We wanted to go on the trip. We wanted to come to Japan, go on a beautiful tour that we're going on. It's a walking tour. So we booked it, and then I guess we kind of discovered the process. So there was a few stressful moments. We realised we needed to get a visa, and I guess some of the things that were required. It hasn't stopped us. And then the irony is that the first day that we've arrived, we didn't need any of that.
We've been very fortunate to be on one of the first flights in, I think, after the visa regulations changed. So it's really exciting. I think it's majorly around going to see a new culture and going to see some people who I've spent a huge amount of time with over Zoom, and getting rid of that screen and getting to see people face to face is going to be fantastic. So really looking forward to that.
All right, that's it for the news. Let's quickly take a break. When we come back from the break, I'll be taking you through the markets, how we ended last week. Of course, today is the first trading day this week after the public holiday was observed on a Monday. We'll be right back to stay. All right, welcome back. Let's quickly take you through the market. We'll start from the morning market. For the majority of the week, interbank rates remain high due to the continued lack of system liquidity. Week over week, the overnight rate increased by about, say, 125 basis points to close at 17.25%, while the OBB rates increased to 16.25%. For the Treasury bills market, it traded well last week, but it then declined for the remainder of the week. The benchmark yield on average decreased to about 7.31%. percent. And the primary market auction is expected to dominate activities this week, so we'll be looking out for that. Last week, the local bond market exhibited a significant bearish trend, with the majority of sell pressures leaning towards the short to mid-end of the curve. The benchmark yield increased to 14%. This week, the mood is expected to be likely negative. Last week, the Eurobond market was mostly optimistic as investors took advantage of all-round favorable yield levels. The average benchmark yield increased to about 12.6%. We anticipate that the market will continue to be vulnerable to emerging developments on the international stage, particularly the upcoming U.S. inflation data. And investors and investors and exporters FX window. So much word to chew. The Naira lost about 49 basis points to about 439.17. That's 439 Naira 17 kobo to $1. That's at the official window last week. You will recall that President Buhari's speech for 2023 budget is predicated around 435 Naira 57 kobo. So where we are as of today, the Naira is doing more than that. That is depreciated. Naira is weakening to about 437. Those are the indices for you on the screen concerning the stock markets. Need I say more? Those numbers appreciated. The whole story expected to about 437. The last about those are the indices for you on the screen concerning the stock market. At the end of today, need I see how the market will fare? Or those numbers appreciated. The market has been to about 437. Anyway, let's quickly take a break, and when we come back, my guest will be joining me here at the table. We're looking at insurance penetration in the country. Barrister the president, Nigerian Council of Registered Insurance. Anyway, let's quickly take a break, and when I come back, my guest, ask yourself the question and do well to get insurance. How should the market in the country Barrister the president, Nigerian Council of Registered Insurance.
This budget is a transition budget because we definitely President Muhammadu Buhari is not on the ballot, so it's a budget that will be executed by across two different governments. So it's a kind of budget that you would call maybe a lame duck budget because remember the intentions of the current president. When a new government comes on board, they would also have some changes that they would need to do. Maybe in terms of the capital project outlay, or even in terms of how they restructure some of the recurrent spending. Some things would not change on the immediate in the budget. I think that's more on the recurrent side. For example, we will not change the personnel size, which is around 3.6 trillion naira. It's not going to change, or around 3.2 trillion or 3.5 trillion even on spend on debt servicing costs. That would likely not even change. So definitely you have close to like around 6.9 trillion that's not moving anything forward. Then you also have debt service cost, capital supplementation, consolidated revenue like pensions and all of that. So on the recurring side, I don't see
Barrister Rotimi Edu, the President, Nigerian Council of Registered Insurance Brokers, is joining me right here to speak about insurance penetration in Nigeria. Welcome to you, Mr. President.
Good morning. Thank you.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm all right, very well.
Okay. Fantastic. What a day to talk about insurance because, you know, largely speaking, majority of Nigerians, there's no insurance consciousness, as it were. Your cousins, I normally call them your cousins, the banks. You know, it's like, even though in Nigeria we have about 59% unbanked, but majority of Nigerians are, at least some Nigerians are banked. Majority, or if not, almost all of us are. The president, Nigerian Council of Registered Insurance Brokers, just joining me right here of how we got here, really, that insurance penetration in Nigeria is low.
Well, thank you.
About
I
insurance penetration in Nigeria. Welcome to you, Mr. President.
Insurance surfaced very well in Nigeria. That was around 1961.
Yeah.
And what actually happened was that it was in the hands of few. And they saw it as their personal businesses, and that really affected the issue of claims payments because they were able to collect premiums and then claims were not really attended to. And then at that time the regulation was also very weak. There was no regulation, so it's like a free market for everybody that goes into insurance and sees insurance. And up until
Nigerians are banked.
2000,
Nigerian Council of Registered Insurance Brokers just joining me right here.
But before then, a lot of damages has been done.
That insurance penetration in Nigeria is
quite enormous. If we want to really
about insurance penetration in Nigeria. Welcome to you, Mr. President.
Insurance had a lot of confidence erosion around. People lost confidence in insurance. And they believe that actually insurance can ever be. The hands of government itself was not insured as their personal businesses much more recently, and that really affected the issue of claims to the grant, and we were able to collect the whole system. And the regulator started rolling out some key attended to fundamental. And then at that time, the regulation was also the regulation that has helped insurance, like a free market for everybody that goes into insurance. But by and large, insurance as a means of really needs to be done. But sooner than later, you know, good regulation started coming in deeply. A lot of penetration. Government itself was not of awareness creation. Personal that insurance more is changed. The trust of my office is able to collect local citizen, and why I chose that is that the broker plays a very pivotal and important started rolling out in the key attended to fundamental. And then at that the regulation was also the regulation who stands as a professional within the regulation industry. It behoves on us to ensure that a lot of we also government itself awareness creation, personal that is more research, insurance. The trust of my office in this country, local citizen. Insurance I chose that and not bought. The broker plays a very pivotal.
What do you mean by that?
People should have come to buy insurance voluntarily, but sometimes a hard sale because it's also professional. And you know, that is not too early. The hopes on us to ensure that we are expecting we also within the industry. Like I said, there are still a lot of changes and a lot of corrections that can be made in this country. Insurance that are not bought. The broker plays awareness. People should create awareness by making sure that insurance is adopted. And sometimes they have that awareness for the outcome of claim settlement. And once the claims are settled, the hopes are promptly sure that and let me mark it genuine claims. Because as we have it, you know, on the side of the insurers, so also do we have the buyers, you know, playing a lot of tricks in insurance. So once we are able to ensure that insurance is bought, then we will be inching upward and we won't be the poor cousins of bankers.
I like that. You won't be the poor cousins of bankers, because in the developed world, you see that even the insurance sector is huge.
It's
sometimes even bigger than.
Yes, you are very correct. In actual fact, funds that are available in the insurance sector are locked up with the banks. But this is because our investment opportunities under insurance is not as wide as that of the bankers. The investment outlay in insurance is restricted even far more than the bank. We can only go to government instruments, maybe some real estate thing. We can't do all those things that banks are doing. Even our lending cannot be done directly, even far more than the bank. We can only go to government third-tier institution to do all those things. So we need a flexible, can do regulation that will give us the ease of doing business and making more profit and expanding the industry.
So you've talked quite a lot about penetration, deepening awareness, government's role in terms of also in promoting insurance. I also do know that the insurance sector is also having like a bit of small issues with government in terms of even compelling the IMDAs, for example, to insure all government assets. How far have you gone with that? Because even some government buildings and properties are not even insured.
Well, you're very correct in that aspect. Governments made laws, but sometimes it's difficult, again, for governments to adhere strictly to these laws. Sometimes there are budget constraints for them, and sometimes there's still a little bit of the advantage that insurance brings to them that is not known to government. But thank God, they have chosen to do one, which is the group life, which secures the lives of the staff of all the MDAs. And in that, I think there has been tremendous, awareness and increase in government participation in insurance. Most state government, not all of them, but I can talk about Lagos, talk about Ekiti, Katsina, and Kaduna has just been opened up by the Commissioner for Insurance. Some of them don't even respect the law that they make. And if you look at the political structure of this country, if you are not from my party, if you make a law, I'm not bound to, sometimes the states don't want to respect the laws of the federal. Sometimes it takes them a long time to domesticate simple laws that will be of advantage and benefits to their people. So all these are the challenges that we face in the government circle. But coming to the assets of government, honestly, that is a little bit disappointing. That up till now, we've not been able to say, yes, we are giving government cover in terms of their assets. And this is a great economic loss to us, because for every loss that occurs within government, for every disaster, for every situation that insurance would have taken care of, there is no insurance to do that. And so government has to go back either to do extra budgetary allocation to be able to sustain, or not even touch that place at all again. I remember that in let me take Lagos for example. Lagos does their assets, and they've been doing that for quite a while. And when there is a disaster or there is any insurance need for all these assets, they are well covered. Look at the bridge that got burnt; it's under repairs now because there was insurance. Government of Lagos State insures all their infrastructure, bridges. Most especially, all those bridges in Lagos are insured. The new rail that is being done is also under insurance. So, but for the federal, I tend to look at sometimes the ability to do things is clogged by protocol, unnecessary, slow down of decision makers. They sometimes don't see any need for it, and insurance sometimes doesn't come as a priority. Government tried, they even said there are some compulsory insurances that the people must do, but the enforcement is also becoming very challenging, because sometimes religion does not allow, or sometimes traditional beliefs does not allow.
Divine insurance. God is my insurance.
Exactly. So we need to reappraise ourselves as insurance practitioners to be able to, face all these challenges. And one of the things that we must do is the issue of getting data, more data, so that we can know who to talk to, where and when to talk to people. If we don't have enough data, it becomes difficult. And this can only be also gathered by our continuous engagement with the business community, with the private community, so that at the end of the day, we can take insurance from the low ebb of contributing just about 3-point-something% to the GDP and raise that bar very high.
Okay. So you talked about disasters, and you just brought me to the other aspect, which is we've seen what's happening now in Kogi State, flood.
In Lokoja,
for example, the flood disaster that happens almost every year. I know that I and my colleagues were caught up in 2012 in this same flood issue that happened. We were like on. It saw such a yes. Happening now in Kogi State, flood. For example, the flood disaster that happens. Sad experience to remember. 2 days ago at Balogun markets.
Yes.
What a broke out flood issue. Like your association, for example, do deepen awareness. In Balogun market, for example, it's like the fire is almost every year. I know you said a bit about like hanky-panky by experienced players and all of that. What can you do to be able to increase insurance awareness? Take a look at what's happening in Kogi now. Close to over 70,000 houses matched in water. What will happen to those people? Have you interacted also with government?
Okay, thank you. You see, in deepening insurance and creating awareness, the NCRIB has done quite a lot in the last couple of years. Apart from the fact that we've done quite a lot of roadshows, roadwork to educate people. I know the Abuja chapter here have gone to various motor parks to enlighten motorists about insurance. Also in Lagos, we've done roadshows on the Third Mainland Bridge. We've even tried to use the area of sports for creating awareness. Sports is something that everybody goes for. Although we don't have that money to raise a football team now, that could be bringing people out or even indoors to watch their telly when the match is on. Well, we have started with lawn tennis. Lawn tennis is also a sport that is also that people have keen interest in.
Is it not an elite sport?
It is not. Lawn tennis is.
Because if we're talking of lawn tennis, how many, perhaps in Nigeria, people say football. A lot of people watch soccer.
Yes, they watch soccer. We are still looking for a way to go into soccer, but like I said earlier, we cannot raise a team now. But you can support. But we can support. We can do things which we have been doing exactly. And then aside from that, we've also tried to do what I say is catch them young. Insurance now has been introduced into the curriculum of the West African Examination Council, so that at a very young age in their teens, they will already have learnt about insurance, such that in the nearest future, the population of those who know and believe in insurance will be higher than what we have now. It's not only that, we have other programs that we have been doing to enlighten the public through our public seminars and
Yeah, but the question is, with all these things that you've been doing, how do you measure the success? Because how you also measure the success of what you're putting together, what you have done, is that the penetration should be increasing. But let me give you some stats, and I hope we have them, some statistics of your industry.
Yes.
Low insurance penetration, of course, insurance penetration is 0.5%. According to the NIA, Nigerian Insurance Association, as of January 2022, about 3.4 million cars are insured in Nigeria, out of over 12 million cars. Nigeria's insurance industry ranks 62nd globally. That's according to the Nigeria Stock Exchange 2019 report. What else again? The insurance sector recorded 6.2% growth in March. That's according to your regulator. Yes. So if you take a look at all those things, it should be more than.
It should be more.
What I'm reading out now.
Let me start, for instance, with the earlier one you mentioned about markets. The insurance of markets, honestly, for me, is something that we have tried a lot. We have distributed handbills to almost all the markets. We have tried to structure them to have insurance so that it's not when a market gets burnt that people will be wailing and gnashing their teeth. It's not at that time that government will not be using money that they should have used on the other ventures to support them. We have done all that we can, but their structure is a little bit
is informal?
Very, very informal. And then the Yologia has the last say. In some instances, we have met with various Yologias all over the country to please let us accept insurance as a form of, protection. They have not been able to, permit that. Even in the area of health insurance, that will also be of value to them. Only few market groups are involved in health insurance. And then if you now look at the issue of the flood, for instance, you find out that if there had been insurances on all these buildings and properties, flood is covered. Is an extension in the standard fire policy, that once you have a fire policy and you extend it to cover flood, civil commotion, like what happened during insurance, all this will be a thing of the past. Insurance would have taken care of it. And people know, but they just don't rank insurance as number one priority in their financial expenditure.
Don't you also think that part of it could be a bit of demarketing from some of your players, in the sense that there's no prompt settlement of claims? They also, have issues with their clients. By the time you pay, okay, your car got burnt or something happened, before they pay you, and that is what people will also say in the media.
Prompt settlement of claim, honestly, it has, from the insurance end, it has improved, because if you don't settle promptly, National Insurance Commission within 24 hours can, come heavily on you with fines or withdrawal of your license. But you see, most claims, sometimes, I won't say that they are unsettleable. People don't read their policies well. And because they don't read their policies, they don't know what exclusions they have.
The onus should also be on the practitioners, such as
yes, it's
make your clients also understand.
That's why.
Or give them in ways they will understand.
That is why we are advising that.
Because it's also technical.
Yes, it's technical, and that's why we always advise that you should consult your registered insurance brokers, because the broker stands in the middle as the professional.
What if they don't have money? Because they
are not supposed, they are not even paying the broker. It's a free service for them. The remuneration of the broker comes from the premium that is paid to the underwriters, and the underwriters know that.
Okay.
So that's just a bit of it. If you look at the other end again, some claims come purposely fraudulent.
Okay, let's talk about microinsurance and the adoption of technology.
Yes.
If you see what's happening in the banking sector now, we're seeing a lot of fintechs, financial technology. Central Bank, for example, has licensed PSBs, payment service banks, and all of that. How can the insurance sector be, or how can the adoption of technology be more encouraged? That we have more insurtechs,
exactly,
so to speak, and more microinsurance that even this Yologia could tell her market, and just say, okay, 1,000 or 500.
In fact, that's one of the pivots and piloting that the National Insurance Commission is doing now. I'm aware that a lot of technology companies are being registered by National Insurance Commission now, and they've issued some standards for us as practitioners to follow. Almost all the insurance industry is awake with InsurTech. People are now, you can see them visibly on the social media, you can see insurance products and, their companies on various platforms of, the industry. And not that alone. With InsurTech, we'll be able to expand, like you said, go to even rural areas, because the cost of setting up an insurance entity is not small. And in a community, sometimes you may not get the required income to even flow the payment of staff salaries. So, but with InsurTech, like you rightly said, it will be, seamless and cheaper and faster. And this we are already looking at. And that's why even this year our theme, insurance practice in Nigeria as a means of security, is very, very germane to us. And we'll get there. So
talking about awareness very quickly, because we have like 3 minutes or so to end this show. Awareness, I know that you had something to do last week or so.
Yes.
Was it a few days ago? Tony Olumelu was there.
Yes,
he called a banking guru, for example, calling the insurance sector that you need to collaborate and you need to dip in. You also need, he mentioned technology.
Yes.
So what else can we see in terms of awareness? That's one. Then number two, the players in the sector, how can they be trusted? Because I think, was it in June or so, that NICOM wielded the axe on some of the insurance companies. I think Nigeria Insurance Standard Alliance, and I don't know if there are a couple more coming. How can we have trust in these?
You see, like I said, and I'll continue to insist on that now there is a lot of trust in insurance, so to say, for those who
are you seeing it from your lens?
Yes, not from my lens alone, from what is even coming on our tables, because business is improving, is increasing by the day, and then because of the nature of claims that are emanating here and there now, a lot of people have now believed that it's only through insurance that they can get the succor they are looking for. And what we are saying about this is that most insurance companies are now well regulated. Even self-regulation within the industry is also very prevalent. The NIA is doing its best to ensure that its members live up to expectation. The NCIRB too is also doing its best. The supervisors, the National Insurance Commission too, the regulator, they're also doing their best to ensure that this industry image is not tarnished. And then the resultant effect of that is that what we just now need to do is to deepen, to make sure that we enlighten people that when you have a claim, if your claim is not paid within time, if it's not paid promptly, you have some, respite from the National Insurance Commission. Immediately you report. I think within 24 hours, they are on that matter. Within 72 hours, that matter will be solved.
Okay, now, 30 seconds if you can. I know that the VIO, the Vehicle Inspection, what do they call them? Vehicle Inspection Office. VIO has, tried to displace insurance in terms of motor insurance. What is your association doing about that? Because you go now, it's like every VIO person is now an insurance broker. VIO, I'm calling you out today, so.
Well, you see, it's an road that the people are being taken for a ride. Because normally they shouldn't buy insurance from the roadside. Insurance is something that has a period of beginning and of expiry. And there are insurance companies, there are also platforms at which they can all buy. The NID platform also will immediately tell you if you have a genuine insurance or not. Because some people, because they pay cheaper, they just go to the roadside or consult VIO who collect 2,000 naira from them for a certificate of 5,000. And when they do that, the resultant effect is that if there is a claim, there won't be anybody to hold, because they even sell the certificates of some companies that have gone moribund.
Okay. I think we'll continue the discussion on another day.
I need to.
So perhaps you will come back soon. So let's continue.
At your pleasure, anytime.
All right. Thank you very much. I've been speaking with Barrister Rotimi Edu, who is the President, Nigerian Council of Registered Insurers Brokers. We've been talking about the deepening and penetration of insurance in Nigeria. I hope you've learned one or two things. The core of it is that go get insured. Life, motor, and disaster through your brokers. Don't do through the back door. All right, that's the much we can take on today's edition of the program. Thank you all for your company. Please join us again tomorrow. Same time, I will be here with another guest, another topic. Be the best you can be and be that change that you want to see. I am Nancy Naji. Bye now. Nancy Naji. Bye now.
He's a wealthy businessman with a penny-pinching reputation, and he's shaking up the Nigerian electorate as he takes on two political heavyweights ahead of the country's 2023 presidential elections.
You have nothing to fear.
Young people in the country say they are desperate for good governance amid concerns about high inflation, a depreciated local currency, and kidnapping for ransom by bandits. And 61-year-old Peter Obi appears to be a messiah of sorts for this generation.